All right, so here's the deal. I don't know how long YouTube is actually going to let this video be, so I'm just running it. So I'm just gonna pan up a little bit to give you guys a shot of the box. So here's the thing. I was in the grocery outlet. Oddly enough, I was in the grocery outlet and I was just looking around, trying to see what I can find. And I ran across 3 Magic the Gathering figures. And under normal circumstances, I would be like, whoa, well, what the shit? There's actual action figures in a grocery store and a grocery outlet, no less. Depending on where you are geographically, the grocery outlet is the equivalent of like the 99-cent store. And that would be the equivalent of like Food Max finding like, I don't know, a Marvel Legends in a Food Max. That's what this was the equivalent of. So I showed you the box. This is the Magic Gathering Legacy Connection. Legacy Collection, because I read good. And this is Liliana, niece. Now, as you can see, they're $5.99. Once again, I like to reiterate, grocery outlet. Now, I have no idea who these characters are. I really don't. I picked up 3, and honestly, based off of the review I'm going to give you guys, these are going to be the only 3 figures from this line that I am going to pick up. And I'm going to give you my honest opinions based off of my interaction with the company that has produced these toys. But as I have said before, I don't know who this character is. I don't know who any of these characters are. I used to play Magic when I was in high school. And even then, I wasn't even hardcore. I would never have considered myself hardcore enough to know the lore or the backstory of who this character is. I don't know. I picked this figure up because it was a cheap 6-inch figure. And in this case, with Liliana, I needed more female figures. Because as a collector and as someone that does toy photography, you can never have enough females. She just happened to be a gypsy-esque type of female character, and you can never go wrong with having more females. Because, quite frankly, I have a lot of male characters. I don't really have too many female counterparts that I can like bounce things off of and make more dynamic pictures. That being said, excuse me, there's going to be a lot of coughing in this. There's going to be a lot of coughing in this. I'm just prefacing you. I'm just warning you right now. There's going to be a shit ton of coughing in this. So excuse me, but before we continue, let's go on to the details, and then we'll get into the articulation. Now, with this figure, I'm not saying that the figure doesn't look good, because it does. The figure looks fantastic. It does. Just, I don't I'm not Bobby Skullface. I don't know anything about paints or washes or anything like that. I just know it looks good to me. And I think that the dark purples and, this dark purple here. Let me see. Oh, yeah, that is purple. But I think that the purples accent themselves very well. What I really, really like is the fact that they made this plastic so soft and so malleable that you can actually move this out of the way for articulation's sake. And I absolutely appreciate that, because they easily could have made that just some hard plastic, and then just that would have been the end of it. The same up here too, malleable plastic. But going back to the detail of the figure, excuse me, detail looks great. I don't know what the character looks like in the game, in the context of the game, the card game I'm referring to. But as far as like the hair is made of the same kind of malleable plastic, so that way you can get some, decent articulation with the head. But all of this etching, it's not that hateful, if I can borrow some terms from one of my favorite reviewers, Bobby Skullface. It's not hateful. You know, it looks how it's supposed to. It's not just like slapped on there. It's, you know, it's detailed fine. It looks the way it's supposed to. The lines are relatively crisp, and you know, they're not all over the place. They're symmetrical. They're where they're supposed to be. All right. As far as like the head sculpt, you know, the head sculpt, it is what it is. The head sculpt actually has the etching of this. Like this is just painted on, right? Like this area here is just painted on. This, the markings on her face are actually etched into. They protrude from the skull. I don't really know how I feel about that. I don't know why they made that decision, but that's just the decision that they decided to make. It looks a little. I don't really know how I can put this, because the etching isn't on the figure, but it's on the face. It does make it look a little weird, especially when the light catches it a certain way, because you can clearly see that it's not etched in onto the figure. But going into the articulation, let's see. You got 360 motion here. With the hand, it also has a joint in there. I'm sure you can probably see. Focus, girl. There we go. It's got a joint right there that you can see. It's got a bicep swivel, but it's hindered by this piece here. So you can't get all the way around without risk of breaking this, which is connected to this. This part here is also made of the same malleable plastic as this plastic here, which is great for upward motions of the hand. Also, it's hindered by both her hair and the figure itself. Not the figure itself, but this piece here that's connected to the breastplate. But under normal circumstances, it can spin all the way around. It's got a joint that gets you out to there, which is not bad. You heard that snap. I literally just broke this thing on camera. Same deal here, but it's hindered by this shoulder piece right there. Now with the leg, because it literally has a flap right there where the buttocks is, stops it from going back all the way, which is fine. You know, I don't complain about that. And the joint gets you about that much forward, gets you about that much back. It's double jointed, which I don't know if I care for too much. Maybe on her, not so much, but there are two other characters here that I could go into detail, that I'm going to go into detail more about with the double jointed deal. Same thing with this side here. Now, the reason why I'm not really flexing and pulling these things all over the place is because, to tell you the truth, I'm terrified. I am absolutely terrified of even moving this thing around, because these things are made of glass. And that is my biggest pet peeve with this line of figures. You can't touch them. They're statues. Now, I think almost a year, maybe a year and a half, maybe 2 years ago, I made a bunch of videos about DC collectibles and talking about how there's a difference between a figure that looks good and a figure that's functional. And this is a figure that looks good, but it's not functional. And that's my biggest issue with this figure. Now, Funko is the one that makes this. Funko, the same Funko that makes those pop figures. And looking at the pop figures and looking at this, I see why they have more pop figures than they do Funko figures. I'm not disparaging the company. I'm not discrediting them. But these guys aren't Marvel Legends. And they're not DC collectibles. And that's for sure. And you can tell the quality of that as soon as you get it out of the box. As soon as I got her out of the box, and you can't tell because I had to do some extensive gluing, but as soon as I got her out of the box, tried to twist her waist around, snapped right off. The whole upper body snapped right off. There's no waist swivel here, which would have been helpful. there was a ball peg in here that I completely twisted off because it was so tight it wouldn't move. So while I'm trying to slowly etch it more and more and more, I twist it right off. So now I'm scared to death. I'm scared to death to even touch the thing, even move the thing. I'm not saying that I can't make it work when it comes to taking photography of it, because I'm definitely going to since I spent the money. But I got these guys at the grocery outlet for $5.99. Get it together, nasty, you're embarrassing me. And in my opinion, the $5.99 is worth every single dime. This figure is worth every single dime of that. Normal circumstances, retail price, these guys go for $19.99. That's without tax. So with tax, you're talking about a $21 figure regular retail at a Toys R Us, at a wherever you can find these guys, at a Toys R Us, which is where I first seen these guys. $19 you're going to pay for this. In my opinion, it's not worth it. It's just not. Unless you are the most hardcore, die-hard, I'm talking about like Bruce Willis, die-hard fan of magic, then I can recommend these because you will get what you want out of them, or you're a collector that does not take them out of the box. I am not one of those collectors. I need to be able to touch the figure. I need to be able to take photography and put them in dynamic poses for my photography. You cannot do this with this figure or any of the figures in this line. You just can't. And this, I can't recommend anybody buy this. I can't, not for 19. $5.99, yeah. You know what? I bought these guys for $5.99 each. It cost me like maybe $16. No big deal. These guys break, no problem, because I didn't pay that much for them to begin with. But for $19, for basically just a good looking figure that doesn't do anything, a good looking toy that doesn't do anything, I can't recommend this. I can't do it. I can't do it. I would go into more detail as far as examining the figure, but I don't want to do that because I'm afraid that if I even pull on this thing's arm or whatever, this thing's going to explode. This thing's going to explode in my hand. So that's my review of Liliana Nice, the 5th figure in the first wave of Magic the Gathering figures. Thanks for watching. You know, if you like this video, like, comment, subscribe. That's if anybody's even watching these videos, because I seriously doubt it, because I'm just some jabroni in California. But if I can quote the phrase this one time from my man Bobby Skullface, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Until then, take care. I already messed up the damn line.